Good morning, student. Today we are going to read class 7 SST Geography chapter number 6 Weather and Climate part 1. So student, in this video we'll read about what is weather and climate and the factors which affect our climate. So in this video we'll start with the weather and climate. So you know very well, you have seen or you have used the word weather. The weather is very good. You might have used this term in your daily life. So how the weather is denoted and how the climate is denoted. So what is the basic difference between weather and climate? Let us see with this topic. So weather is a temporary condition of atmosphere at a place. So weather is a temporary condition, means that the weather may be sunny or may be rainy or the rainy or there, or maybe it is warm or cold. So basically weather is a temporary condition, but instead of weather, climate is a overall average weather of a place over a period of a time. Means that the climate remains for a long period of time, that is the climate. So how we can bifurcate between the weather and climate? So weather, it is an atmospheric condition of a particular place or a small area. So whether it is a particular atmospheric condition, means that it may change after some time. You have seen in the morning the clouds are there, but at the noon you have noticed that there is no cloud. So this is a change that is not permanent. It is considered for a small period of time. It changes drastically in short duration of time, like cloudy and humid. So if you feel so hot and all of a sudden the air started blowing, so how you will feel? Yes, definitely we will feel good, and automatically the weather will change. Like if we count about the cloudy also, if it is cloudy and if after rain the atmosphere will be clean. So this is the weather. But what about climate? So climate is a average atmospheric condition of a larger area. So larger area, like it is considered for the long period of time. If I give you example, that if we talk about what is the climatic condition of Jammu and Kashmir of your state. So Jammu and Kashmir have the different climate condition, like they have the particular climatic condition. Like how we can count it, because there is always a cold season, but the cold sometimes very cold or sometimes it is little cold. So cold is the permanent feature of the Jammu and Kashmir and the peripheral areas of those particular state. So union territory basically. So the climate is same throughout the whole year, but there is a little changes in that. If I say if I give you example of the coastal areas, so if we talk about the Mumbai or the Chennai, so both are the coastal areas. So what kind of climate it is found over there? They have the moderate climate, because the whole year the temperature is almost remain same, but there is a little bit different between the highest temperature and the lowest temperature. So this is the climate of that particular place. So climate does not change, climate remains the same for so many years, but weather changes very quickly. So this is the difference between weather and climate. So I hope you are able to understand. Weather did change automatically or very soon, but climate did not change. And weather is the time is right now it is cloudy, but after some time it's become clear sky. Or climate will not change if it is cold or if it is warm. So the cold will be little bit, the temperature of that particular area will be little bit low or little bit high, but the temperature cold will be remain. So this is the climate of that particular place. Now let us see, the weather is changes every time, but climate does not. So let us see what is temperature basically, and how the earth get its temperature, how the temperature helps to climate or the weather season, for the changes of the weather season. Let us see. So the sun provides heat and light for all the planets in our solar system, known as solar radiation. So what the sun light and heat it is provided by sun, that is known as solar radiation. It's not about only earth, it's about the all planet or our particular our solar system. The distance between earth and sun is about 150 million kilometer. So you can observe that there is a huge distance between sun and earth, and you can imagine how much temperature is there on the sun. You might have noticed in the summer season, the sun rays and the heat what the sun exert, that is so huge, and we cannot sometimes we cannot bear it. So you can imagine, if we are near to the sun, so what kind of temperature we will feel. So you can imagine how much the sun have energy and how much temperature sun have. Okay, do you think the sun rays which is coming to earth, that all sun rays is absorbed by the earth or it is grasped by the earth? No, there are very little amount of sun rays or the sun heat that is observed by the earth. So what is the particular amount of solar energy which is received by earth? What it is known as? It is known as insolation, because the sun, the amount of solar radiation which is received by the earth, that is considered as insolation. So it means that very little amount of sun rays we observe, we can say that the earth get, that little amount of sun rays or heat is known as insolation. The maximum amount of heat is received near the equator. So you might have seen, or you might have studied in class 6 also, the maximum amount of heat is received by the equator. Why it is that? Because the sun rays falls vertically on the equator, that's why the equator gets the maximum amount of heat. And the poles, the south pole and the north pole, get the minimum amount of heat, because the sun rays falls slanting on these poles basically. So how we can measure the temperature of the particular place? So might have heard the name of thermometer. So thermometer is a instrument that help us to measure the temperature of particular place. So how the temperature is measured? Its SI unit to measure the temperature is Kelvin, but the temperature is also measured in Celsius or Fahrenheit scale. So these are the two major scales on which we measure the temperature. There you can see the picture of Celsius and Fahrenheit and the scales which is mentioned on the thermometer. Now, who invented the thermometers initially? So Galileo, he invented the rudimentary water thermometer in 1593. He called this device thermoscope, but it is not effective. It is ineffective when water freezes at low temperature. So basically this thermometer does not work at that time, but in the year 1714 Gabriel Fahrenheit invented the modern mercury thermometer, and this thermometer, the mercury thermometer, we use to measure the body temperature as well as the other temperature of the body or the atmosphere. So this is the particular thermometer that we use. Types of thermometers, you might have heard the different types of thermometer, because we cannot measure each and every temperature with the same thermometer. So that's why we need the different thermometer to measure the different temperature of air, body, our bodies, food, and many other things. So there are clinical thermometers that is used for the body temperature, laboratory thermometer that is used in laboratory, Galileo thermometers, maximum and minimum thermometers, and digital remote thermometers that is used in present days. Among these commonly used thermometer are clinical thermometer and the laboratory thermometer. So this is the two of thermometers that is used present day by the people. Now there you can see the picture of one, the maximum and minimum temperature thermometer, and the another one is thermograph, that both is used to measure the temperature of a particular place. Now the most important thing that we have to understand, that the insolation which comes on the earth, that the insolation which comes on the earth is remain same on the whole earth. No, the answer is no, because the earth is divided into three different zones. The earth is divided into three different zones. There you can see the picture of different zones. It is started with the torrid zone. The torrid zone is the middest one, and this zone have the maximum temperature, and because of the earth shape, the maximum sun rays or the direct sun rays is fall on the torrid zone near the equator area. So this zone contains the maximum amount of heat with it, and it is from 23 degree north, 23 degree half northern hemisphere to 23 degree half southern hemisphere on the line of Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn. So this is the area, particularly you can see the colored area that shows the torrid zone. This zone contains the maximum amount of insolation and have the maximum amount of heat over here. The next zone comes, that is the temperate zone. Temperate zone is divided from 23 degree half north to 66 degree half north, and up to the Arctic circle, from Tropic of Cancer to up to Arctic Circle. Likewise, in the southern hemisphere, from the line of Tropic of Capricorn, 23 degree half south to the Arctic Circle, that is 66 degree half in the southern hemisphere. So both zones are considered as temperate zone because these zones have the insolation on a moderate rate. That is why these zones is considered as a moderate zones, because sunlight does not reach as much as the equator have. The next zone is considered as a frigid zone, because these zones are up to from the Arctic Circle to the South Pole, Antarctic Circle to the South Pole and Arctic Circle to the North Pole. This zone is considered as frigid zone because this zone does not receive the sun rays properly or very less, because this is the part where the insolation is very less, and this zone is considered as the frigid zone. So I hope you are able to understand, because this topic is already you have read in the class 6. Now let us see what are the factors which affect the temperature or a climate of a particular place. So these factors are latitude, altitude, distance from sea, prevailing winds, ocean current, and slope of land. So in this topic we'll understand that how the latitude affect the temperature, how the altitude affect the temperature, how distance from sea that affects the temperature, prevailing winds, how it create the different temperatures, and ocean current as well as slope of land. So this topic we will discuss in this video only. Let us begin with the first of the topic, that is latitude, how the latitude helps to affect the temperature of particular place. So latitude is the topic. So you have already read in the class 6, there is an imaginary line on the earth, that is the vertical line basically, that is vertical line is known as latitude. And what about the horizontal line? That horizontal line is considered as longitude. You might have heard, you might have read in the previous classes. So latitude is the lines, and there you can see the different lines. You can observe that there is, you can see the equator and the South Pole, North Pole, Arctic Circle, and you have already seen the picture in the previous picture, that is the Antarctic Circle, Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn. So these are the latitudes, and the latitudes, because latitudes, the different zones that we have read in the previous topic, that different zones have is belongs to different latitudes, like from zone 23 degree half north to 23 degree half south, that is the latitude, and that is the torrid zone that gets the maximum amount of heat. So definitely, because of getting maximum amount of heat, this zone considered as the hottest one, and this if this get the maximum amount of heat, so temperature or the climate of this particular place will be hotter than the other one. And when we move toward the temperate zone, as I explained, that after Tropic of Cancer to Circle of Arctic, and in the southern hemisphere from Tropic of Capricorn to Antarctic Circle. So basically these two zones is on the latitude of 23 degree to 66 degree half, and in the south 23 degree to half to 66 degree half in the southern hemisphere. So these two zones get the average amount of heat, and this latitude also shows the average amount of heat that is received by the temperate zone. And frigid zone, it is the zones which does not get the maximum amount of heat, or minimum amount of heat it is get absorbed by the poles. Let us see, latitude is one of the main factor affecting the temperature. Since Earth is round, not every place receives the same amount of sunlight or heat. Another reason is due to the angle of solar incidence. So angle of solar incidence, because the sun rays strike on the Earth's surface, especially on equator, very vertically. But if we go beyond the equator, what will happen? The sun rays is it's slanting. Basically it is slanting, and because of that the sun rays does not reach to the next near the pole or the temperate zone properly. At the equator, sun rays strike the earth at the right angle, which makes the heat more intense and concentrated over a small area. So because of the sun rays that comes directly to the equator, so that area is more heat and more intense. Less heat is lost through the atmosphere as the rays travel a shorter distance through the atmosphere. So here very less amount of heat is lost, means that the most amount of heat is absorbed by the atmosphere, and it makes the particular area of climate more intense and heat. But at the pole, sun rays strike on the earth on an acute angle, means the very minimum sun rays reaches to the polar areas. So because of that, the temperature of that particular area, the climate of that particular area will be cold. So this is the work of altitude, or the way which explain us the altitude help us to understand the temperature of that particular place. So if it is equatorial areas or the torrid zone areas, so it will receive the maximum. If it is temperate zone, so it will receive the moderate, and if we go to the frigid zones, it will receive the minimum sun rays. The next feature that help us to understand the temperature of a particular place, that is the altitude. So in the previous chapter I had explained that when we go up to the upward direction in the atmosphere, so what will happen? The temperature started decreasing. And because of that, when we goes up, the temperature or the places which is on the hilly station or the hilly areas that have always been the cold climate of that particular areas, because of the decrease of the temperature. So there you can see that this is the distance above the sea level. The higher the place is, the colder it will be, because the heat from the sun reflected by the earth's surface. So earth's surface is there that reflect the sun rays, but if it is a hilly areas or higher areas, so whatever the sun rays is there, it will reflected earliest, and because of that the altitude led to to give the different amount of temperature to that particular area. This reflected the heat warm on to the lower layer of the atmosphere, so the higher up you go, the colder it will be. So when you go to the higher up altitude, the temperature will start decreasing, and this creates the colder areas on the higher altitudes. You have read the 100-meter rise in altitude, the temperature will be decreased by 1 degree Celsius. What it was known as? Explain that. It was known as normal lapse rate. So normal lapse rate is there, and it creates the temperature, it makes the temperature down, and because of that the temperature or the particular area feels the cold basically in those areas. High altitude regions such as mountainous places experience the low temperature because of the altitude. The earth's surface absorbs the heat energy from the sun, and when the surface warms up, the heat diffuses into and warms the atmosphere, and in turn transfers some of the heat to the upper layer of the atmosphere. So as I explained that the earth's surface absorbs the heat energy from the sun, and what energy it is absorbed by the earth's surface, that is redistributed to the different layers of the atmosphere. The lower layer of the air are denser, that is the troposphere. It has the maximum amount of air in it, and the air contains water vapor and dust particle, and because of the water vapor and dust particle, the heat is absorbed here more. So in the lower layer only heat is absorbed more, and because of that when we go upward direction to the atmosphere, we did not feel this heat because it is already absorbed by the water vapor and dust particles, and because of it we did not feel the temperature in the altitude area, the higher altitude areas. Therefore the layers of the atmosphere closest to the earth's surface are typically warmer compared to the layer of the atmosphere in the higher altitude. So atmosphere which is present in the lower altitude, they have the atmosphere, the heat, the hot atmosphere, but when we move towards the higher altitude, the atmosphere in this region have the less amount of heat, or the less amount of heat is absorbed by the atmosphere, and because of that we feel the coldest one. Therefore the hill station like Shimla, Darjeeling, Ooty, etc., these are the cooler places than situated in the plains. So they are situated in the plain areas, but when we go up to the higher altitude, the temperature is started decreasing. That creates the temperature or the climate of that particular area cold. So you might have heard the second, you might have understand the second reason which creates the temperature of a particular area to the, which change the climate of that particular area after the altitude, after the latitude. So latitude is, you have read the different layers that we have read in the previous topic, and the altitude, the height from the sea level, that is also responsible for affecting the temperature of that particular area. Now move towards the next, that is the distance from the sea. So you might have heard that the distance from sea, the places that is near the sea experience the moderate temperature, and the places which is far from the sea, they experience the variety of temperature. What is the reason behind that? Let us see that how the temperature of the coastal areas are moderate, and what is the reason behind that of moderating the temperature. Compared to land, the sea gets heated slowly and loses heat slowly. If we talk about which of the surface, water surface or land surface get heated up early, and which one is get heated slowly. So land always get heated up early. Make it clear, land always heated up early instead of water. Water takes much time to get heat up. So as we know that the things which is get heated up early, that becomes cold early. So land heated up early and becomes cold early, but water gets heated slowly and it's also become cold very slowly. So that is the reason it creates a different definite pattern that we have to understand about the sea bridge and land bridge in this topic. As a result, the temperature is relatively higher on land during the daytime and higher in water during the night time. So this is the reason the daytime the land is heater and the night time the water is more heater, or the temperature of water is more higher than the land. So as the land losses its heats very early, but the water does not. Water takes time to cool down. It takes time to cool down. So because of that, the temperature of water is more than the temperature of land. Also, the places situated near the sea comes under the moderating influence of the sea and the land bridges, which moderate the temperature. So there you can see the picture in the sea bridge and the land bridge. So sea bridge always runs in the daytime. There you can see the daytime is there. There you have observed that the cold, okay, the air always move from hotter area to colder area. When the air molecules get heated up, so what will happen? They started leaving their place. When air molecules get heated up, they become light and they started leaving their place. So what will happen? The place which is leave by the hotter molecules, what will happen? The place will vacant. So in that situation, the colder wind or the colder air will started occupying that space. So they will occupy. In that situation, the colder air will come over there and the warmer air, the hotter air will go to the place of colder air. You can see the red one is the warm air and the blue one is the cold air. So cold air, the warm air will move to the ocean, but in the place which is vacant by the warm air, that is filled by the cold air which comes from the sea. So what will happen? The cold will make the particular area, the cold air will make the particular area feel well, because at daytime the land is heated up early, so the cold air of the ocean makes that particular area temperature moderate. So because of that, the sea breeze helps in the daytime. And what we let us see in the night time, the cold air of the land is and the warm air of the ocean. There you can see with the red one, that is the warm air, and the blue one is the cold air. Now the warm air from the ocean started moving to the land areas. So what will happen? The warm air makes the land temperature moderate. Acha, you have already heard that the land is get earliest cold. So because of that, the land cannot the places which is situated on the land will feel the cold, but because of the warm air which is present in the ocean, that started coming toward the land areas. So what will happen? The places again vacant in the ocean, so cold air from the land, they started moving toward the ocean area. So this cycle makes the temperature of land in the daytime as well as night time moderate. So this is the reason of the distance from sea. If you are near to the sea, the temperature will be moderate. If you are far from the sea, the temperature will be vary. Therefore, because of this, the moderating effect of water climate is more moderate and mild in coastal areas, and as you have moved from the coast, diurnal as well as annual temperature range increases. So when you move after the coastal areas, so you will experience the different temperature. But if you are near to the sea, you will experience the moderate type of temperature. That is the reason why Delhi has the extreme climate and Mumbai has the moderate climate. So Mumbai is near to the coastal areas and Delhi is far from the sea. Impact of ocean current, both hot and cold, that I had explained that. that impact of ocean current, that is both hot and cold, also affect the coastal region near which these current move. So the ocean current topic will read in the next slide of this video. That there you are able to understand what is the cold current and what is the warm current or the hot current. There are seasonal variation in the temperature of the land and sea because of the ocean current. During the summer, the air above the land has higher temperature than the ocean. So in the summer time, what happens? The air above the land is higher temperature than the ocean, but air above the ocean get higher temperature than the land mass in winter. So in the winter, what happens? The ocean have the higher temperature, and in summer the land have the higher temperature. So this creates the temperature of the coastal areas, which is near to the coastal areas, make the temperature moderate because of the different temperature of the land as well as the ocean. Now move towards the next topic, that is the prevailing winds. So how the wind helps to make the particular area climate differ. So now let us see what is the prevailing winds. So these are the winds that blow most often. So they blow always, and wind can affect the temperature and precipitation. So how the wind can affect the temperature and it also affect the precipitation? Wind blowing over the tropical ocean bring the warm and wet weather. So what the winds, the air which is blow from the from the ocean, they bring the warm and wet weather. How? Because the water gets heated lately and the temperature of that water is more than the land. Because of that, the wind always brings the moisture from the warm oceans, and that creates the rain to the land areas. Wind blowing from the poles over the land brings the cold and dry weather. So the winds which is blowing from the polar regions, they brought the cold and the dry weather with them. So this affect the temperature of particular place. Let us see how it helps. The prevailing winds are the winds that blow consistently in a given direction over a particular region on earth. So prevailing winds are the winds which are moving towards a particular area or particular region. Due to factors such as uneven heating and from the sun and earth's rotation, these winds vary in the different latitude on the earth. So the different winds movement and different winds are there on the earth atmosphere, and they always been affected from the sun heat or the sun radiation as well as the rotation of the earth. So the wind is always been affected. So this topic, there is a particular topic about the wind in this video that I will explain later. The prevailing wind also determine the amount of rainfall that different region get. So prevailing winds is helpful for giving the rain. So as I told, the wind moves everywhere. So the warm or the hot ocean, the temperature of the ocean get heated up slowly and cold slowly. So you know that when the water get heated up, the air molecule of the water get started vaporizing. So water vapors are there, and water vapors are moved by the help of wind, and those winds take the water vapor and move toward the land areas from the ocean. So this water vapor creates the cloud and it's help for the precipitation. So in India, the rains is just because of the air and the temperature which is created, or the water vapor which is created by the oceans, that is blown by, or that is accommodated by the wind to the plain areas or the land areas. So because of that, in the southeastern Asia like India, it gets the monsoon because of the wind only. The west coast of the South and North America received the abundant rain during the winter due to these winds. So in the winter season, the North America and South America get the maximum amount of maximum amount of rain because of the wind only in the winter season. The equator receives the most direct sunlight, resulting in planet's warmest temperature near the equator. So when the temperature is more, so what will happen? That the particular places of that equator will get heat up early. So whether it is water or whether it is land, they will started getting heat most, and here the heat expand the air. So as I explained that when heat expand, heat more when there will be more heat, so air will expand and make it less dense, which led to the rising of the air. So what will happen? You have already explained that when air get heated, the air molecules get started rising up, and when it rises, it cools and makes the air lost as a water vapor as rain. So as I explained that this winds takes the water vapor to the land areas and creates the rainfall. This air then circulates around the roughly 30-degree and north and the south. So the prevailing winds mostly found near the 30-degree up to the 30-degree northern hemisphere and up to the 30-degree in the southern hemisphere, and that creates the rainfall in this region. So the wind topic that we'll discuss in this next next video basically. Ocean currents are there. So ocean currents are helping for the helping to change the temperature of particular place. Okay, now let me give you this particular map. You can see from there the red is denoted by the warm current and the blue is denoted by the cold current. Okay, so how the water gets heated up? It is because of the temperature or the sun rays. So where the sun rays fall more, the place, whatever it is, land or water, get heated, more heated, and the place where the sun rays does not go much, so that place becomes the coldest one. So you can observe from the North Pole, there you can see the blue part, that the arrow shows towards the equator area. So the cold current from there, they coming towards the equator area, and the red arrow you can see, the red arrow is moving from equator to the polar areas, whether in the southern hemisphere or whether in the northern hemisphere. Both hemisphere you can see that the red arrows is from the equator and they came from equator to the polar regions. You can directly you can see from the map, and the blue lines or the blue arrows shows the cold current. So cold currents are there, they move from the polar region to equator, and warm current from the equator to polar region. So you can easily observe that the warm air or the warm current, the warm water is distributed from equator to the polar regions, and the colder air or the colder water is moved from the polar to the equator. Means the cold water is moved towards the equator and the warm water moved towards the polar region. So this create the where these ocean current moves, that affect the climate of the temperature. So as you know, when the warm current move from equator to the polar regions, so the land which is comes under the the land which is come near the polar region, they will experience the temperature of that place is cold, but with the help of warm current, the temperature of that particular area become warm in the cold season also. Likewise, the warm the polar regions, the the cold current, they started moving from the polar region to the equatorial area. So equator have the temperature, the hot temperature, there is a hot temperature. So because of the cold current, the hot temperature will be mild because of the cold current, and there in the colder areas also, because of the warm current, the colder areas also become the mild temperature. So this also affect the climate or the temperature of the particular place. Let us see by the points. The majority of radiation from the sun is absorbed by the ocean, particularly in the tropical waters around the equator, where the ocean act like a massive and heat retaining solar panel. So in the equatorial region, the temperature is more. Because of that, it's generated or it makes the current warm, and the warm current moves toward the cold and the cold current moves toward the warm areas. There you can see the picture of the currents that I had explained, that the colder regions are warmed by the warm current, and the warm areas are cooled by the cold current. When the water molecules are heated, they exchange freely with the air in the process called evaporation. So when the water molecules get heated up, they move towards the atmosphere, and this process is known as evaporation. You know very well. The ocean water is constantly evaporating, increasing the temperature and humidity of of the surrounding air to form the rain and storm that are then carried by the trade winds. So here the wind work. So what the water vapor is created by the water molecules of the ocean, that water molecules or the water vapor are carried by the carried by the winds to the land areas where they can rain. In fact, almost all rain that falls on the land start off in the ocean. So because of the ocean only, the land areas get the rain. The tropics are particularly rainy because of heat absorption, and thus the ocean evaporation in the highest in this area. So as you can see in the picture, the warm current, where you can see the warm current because of the sun rays falls directly on the equator, the red arrows there you can see. So because of that, when the sun rays is more over there, and because of that the water get evaporated earliest, and when it get evaporated, it forms the water vapor, and because of that, when it contact with the air, it started raining. So because of that, the equator always get the water with the help of precipitation or the rain, basically throughout the year. Ocean current act as much conveyor belt, transporting the warm current and precipitation from the equator towards the pole, and cold water from pole back to the tropics. As I said, the cold water is brought by the cold current to the equatorial areas, and from the equator the warm water is carried by the ocean current, the warm ocean current, to the polar regions. So this makes the climate constant, and also they make when the warm current move, so it creates the warm atmosphere, and when cold current moves, it creates the cold atmosphere. Thus ocean current regulate the global climate. So because of the ocean current, that makes or regulate the climate of the whole world, helping to counteract uneven distribution of solar radiation reaching to the earth's surface. So this help us to make all of the climate to regulate the climate of the whole world. But you know very well, the sun rays does not appear same towards the whole earth. Poles have the different amount of heat, the equator have the different amount of heat. So with the help of ocean current and wind also makes the atmosphere, it regulates the atmosphere of any place. So if this will not happen, so what will happen? If there is no movement of warm current or the cold current, so what will happen? The area which have the warm current, they will remain warm throughout the whole year, and the area which have the cold current, they will remain cold throughout the whole year, and that's create the extreme climate of that particular area. So there the ocean currents are there to help to regulate the climate. Without current in ocean, the regional temperature would be extreme, super hot at the equator and frigid towards the poles. So because of that only, because of the ocean current, the earth's land will be habitable, because if it is not, so the temperature will be different. The colder one will always will be cold, and the hotter one will be always hotter, that will not able to habitate. The last thing which affect the particular place, the temperature of particular place, that is the slope of land. See, the direction of the slope, its angle control the amount of solar radiation received locally. The slopes more exposed to the sun receive more solar radiation than those away from the direct rays. So the steeper slope or the gentler slope. So a steeper slope means which have the maximum amount of length, and the gentler slope which have the maximum amount of length. So because of the steeper slope, they get the maximum amount of the minimum amount of sun rays, and the gentler slope will get the maximum amount of sun rays. So there you can see the picture of the mountain. There you can see west side, windward side, and the leeward side. So windward side, where the maximum amount of heat is there, so the water source is here, they will create the water vapor, and the water vapor helps for the formation of the rain or the precipitation. But at the next side of the mountain, the leeward side, there is no water, there is no air, and because of that only the temperature or the rainfall does not occur over here. So let us see how the slope of land helps for the for making the temperature of any place. So as I explained that the gentler slope and the steeper slope. The steeper slope will not have the much area covered by it, but the gentler slope, the area which is covered by the gentler slope is more than the steeper slope. So gentler slope will get the maximum amount of heat, and because of that the slopes which is received the direct sun rays, they are dry due to the loss of moisture through the excess evaporation. These slopes remain barren if irrigational facilities are absent. If there is no water facilities, so the place where the sun rays is more, so that area will become the it will become barren. But if there is a water facilities or the good irrigational facilities, so what will happen? The sunlight which is falls on the gentler slope will make the agriculture best, because the sun rays will be more over the gentler slope, and this creates the maximum amount of sun rays, and also it helps to the growth of the plant. Because of that only the agriculture is possible into the gentler slope, not on the steep slopes. It also create the human settlement, because if the agriculture is there, so they will definitely started living or started development settlement over there. The slopes that is devoid from the direct sunlight usually well forested. So where the sunlight does not go direct, and because of that the areas which is becomes more forested, or the more forest over there. As you see the example, the southern slope of Himalaya are warmer than the northern slope. So the northern slope does not get the maximum amount of heat, but the southern slope of Himalayas get the maximum amount of heat, and because of it the southern slope have the human settlement as well as the agricultural development. So this is the topic that we have to understand, and this topic is over, and we'll read more about the winds in the previous video. What you have to do is that you have to write and illustrate the diagram of the heat zones, different heat zones, that is torrid zone, temperate zones, and frigid zone. You have to illustrate, you have to draw the diagram, and you have to write at least one paragraph of each of the zones. Thank you, students.